Gotta get more followers.
Hello everyone. It's Monday, May the 22nd, 10:35 a.m. Eastern Time, right here at the bottom of the screen. Gonna be trading some Ultrabond today. Listen to a little jazz music, have a little bit of fun, talk you through what I'm doing. So let's get into it. No idea how many trades we will take. If we'll take a trade. Some days there's just no trades, but chances are if the video is up, there was at least a trade. So before we dive into the super hot action of the Ultrabond, I wanted to show you two things. Number one, June is coming up. Ultrabond, if you're not familiar, is a quarterly contract, so it will roll forward on a quarterly basis. So June is what we're trading. It's what we've been trading, but it's going to roll forward here soon. You might say, CFT, how do I know, like, what's the best contract to trade? What's the proper contract to trade? I encourage you to pop over to the CME Group's website, search for Ultrabond. Bring this up. June contract. Look at the volume. 119,000, almost 120. September, which will be the next contract, 42. So June's contract still has the majority of the volume, but there is activity in September, so it won't be long before the September becomes relevant. And you will know for sure, because one day you'll fire up your Jigsaw depth of market and like look at it and there'll be like next to no activity and you're thinking, what's going on here? Here should be your clue. Maybe it's time we roll forward and take a look, just verify that yes indeed September. Also, quick gander at my website here, and it's kind of squished so it's in big format here, but all the best trader evaluation deals, promos, blah 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 blah. You know the deal, and if you don't, you should check out my site. I will say, I sent out an email. If you're not part of my email list, that's a good place to start. You can scroll down here on the right and pop it in here. I know this looks weird on here. Like I said, the screen's just kind of squished. But if you put in your email, you'll be first to be notified. And the good people at Replicanto, my favorite trade copier, and really there's not too many choices for NinjaTrader. They said, CFT, we know we had an exclusive deal with you for 10% off for anyone who follows you and wants to invest in Replicanto by Flowbots. I was on my way back from Toronto. I got a good email from them saying, CFT, we can do better. We're going to make it 20%. I said, that's fantastic. How long is this sale for? They said, indefinitely. This is 20% off for anyone who follows you. So there you go. Code CAN20 at Flowbots. Is the company, Replicanto is the product. Use it in NinjaTrader. If you have multiple accounts, say with Apex, uProfit, Lilu, etc., and they allow trade copiers, that's also the other caveat, not all companies do. You can copy your hearts out. Question often received is, how can I copy between, say, my Apex and my Buellnox and my uProfit accounts all at the same time? The short answer is you can't easily. You definitely can't within one instance of NinjaTrader, unfortunately. You can only log into one of those accounts at a time with Rhythmic. The longer answer is you can if you want to invest some money and get really crafty. It involves using other computers, whether they're your own on the same network or on a virtual computer on a different network, and you can employ trade copiers, etc. For myself, I like to think I'm a simple man to a degree. I just trade each account separately, but for accounts where I have multiple accounts, say Apex, you have several accounts, use a copier within there. Guys, let's get back to trading, but definitely check out my site there if you want those deals and discounts, those exclusives. Alright, let's see what we see. I don't see anything yet. Nothing exciting yet. for those not in the know. And sometimes I figure everybody knows everything about my videos, but then I hear from people, they're like, oh, hey CFT, I just found your videos. They're really useful. Thank you. You are an amazing trader. Maybe they say that. Sometimes they do. Not always. But regardless, they are new to my videos, so always worth explaining in rapid fire. I use Jigsaw Daytrader, also you can find on my website if you want to learn more about it. Also, I will mention, and maybe I'll bring this up in a few minutes or something, if you want to download my layout, you certainly don't have to, but it's free. You can. These are just XML files. You can download. I put them up well over a year ago. It might even be 2 years ago now, but my layout hasn't changed much. So it would be like my color setup, my column setup, like which columns are where and what's included, what's not, etc. So if you kind of want this, a quick shortcut to this, go to my site, go to the Jigsaw page, and scroll down past the information about Jigsaw, and you can download these files and import them into Jigsaw if you're a Jigsaw user. Now, that said, on the right we have the Ultrabond, which is what I pretty much exclusively trade. On the far left we have the depth of market for the 10-year treasuries. I use this as informational. As well, these two middle columns are also related to the 10-year. These are the ticker tapes, if you will. The left one is filtered for trades which are 25 contracts and above, so you won't see any, so it has the price obviously and the number of contracts traded. You won't see anything less than 25, I think, like I saw 25 here. The one on the right is above 150, so point of these is to kind of filter out all the 1 lot, 2 lot, 5 lot traders, and just so the big block trades. So right now, pretty dead. You're not going to get much from this, but you know, if you see a flurry, especially on the 150 filtered one of red, for example, you know, like 200 sold, 150 sold, 1,000 sold, and boom, 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 boom. Okay, there's a big push downward. Now we're going to see the same information over here, but it's just kind of a nice visual clue, if you will. You know, maybe I'm not quite paying attention to the left as much, but all of a sudden this catches my eye. Red, red, red. Good indication to take a look over. So that said, we have yet to take a trade. I always feel like I'm repeating myself as well on the info, but what am I looking for? First things first, I know this is a lot of numbers. People first look at this and they think, this is insane. What kind of crazy man looks at this when there's such beautiful charts out there and you can draw lines on them and indicators. They tell you practically when to trade. No, they do not. But anyways, I focus right here, front and center, right where the action is, and right here, right where the action is. All this is just supplementary information, you know, like, fuck. All this other stuff is just supplementary information, like how many contracts traded, where was the bulk of the trading. But we're really interested in what's happening at the middle here. So while we've been talking, they've kind of been marching it down here. I have been paying attention, don't worry. What I would really like to see, and again on my website I have all my trade setups, which I made those videos. It's crazy to think, but that was a year and a half ago. It was December 2021 that I put up my free course and kind of videoed all my trade setups, multiple examples of them, and two of my favorites, which I like to use in tandem, or parlay them if you want to use a different term, is I like the break lows or the break highs, but right now we're kind of hanging out at the low, so if we can get a nice breakdown here, that would be something. And ideally, what we would want to see for kind of step one, and it might get set up right here and now, we'll see. We'd see the 10-year start to push down, and then we would still have some room over on the Ultrabond. It hasn't quite bottomed out yet, so it's kind of a catch-up. I kind of said it in reverse order. It's going to be a catch-up where the Ultrabond catches up to the 10 years, and then we break the low. So that's kind of the parlay. The catch-up turns into a break low. 2 for 1. Gotta love a 2 for 1. It's worth waiting for. Now the break low won't necessarily turn into a nice big run. The catch up won't necessarily turn into a break low, etc. You really have to, each situation is unique. That's what makes trading fun and exciting. Now, speaking of exciting, I know this is the opposite of excitement. The great John Grady, I remember him being interviewed on Chat with Traders years and years and years ago. I remember listening to that when I was but a young, starting out trader myself, interested in his content. I was curious about all this treasury talk and this order flow talk. And I remember him saying, he only takes a few trades, and went on to say that trading the treasuries is extremely boring. He was correct. It's not meant to be exciting. It's a game of patience and cherry picking, snipering, whatever analogy you want to use. Well, since we're not getting a flurry of activity, let's keep talking. Let me try to give you something of value, guys. Let's use the 10 years as an example, just because the numbers are bigger, and if we see something setting up, we'll stop in our tracks and maybe jump into a trade here. But inside purple, inside green. Again, these are my colors. Normally they're like blue and red. Inside purple, these are sellers, and these are limit orders on the book. Inside green column, these are buyers, and they're limit orders. The outside purple and outside green is the addition and subtraction of orders to this price level, and this will obviously, you see it changing. So this can change for two reasons. Somebody adds or pulls an offer, or a contract actually changes. So for some reason a contract is no longer available, or is available, is being added here. So you'll see this change quite often. Now, how I use the outside columns is I'm looking for the right word. I have a word, but I don't want to use it because it can imply something else in trading as well. I'm looking for big changes. So say a lot of people adding on here, and on top of that, a lot of people pulling here. That's a lot of pressure downwards, and you're kind of seeing it here a little bit. It's not insane, but you're seeing people add on here and pull here. Again, these aren't big numbers, especially for 10 years, so isn't really like an indication to do something. But if all of a sudden I start seeing a lot of people just pile on and a lot of people pull away, think of it as tug of war. All the big guys are over here, and they're just gonna rip right through these guys. So inside columns are actual contracts traded, and whether they are a sell or a buyer. So if a buyer, so say one of these guys, say I'm one of these guys, and I'm like, what, screw it, I'm tired of waiting here, I'm just going to pay the next price up and buy from one of these fellows here, or ladies. That would be a blue number if you want to use simple terms. So that would be a buyer who came up. Likewise, if a seller says, I really want to sell my contracts at 150, it's truncated of course, but nothing's happening, I just want to sell them, so I'll sell them at 145. That would be one of the red numbers. It's a seller who came down and took the buyer's price. So you can get some indication from this as well of what direction things are going. Like here as well, you kind of see a nice long. Now these numbers change. Basically, if something happens, the price moves away, and then the price pops back, and something else happens, it'll clear out. So this is kind of always the last interaction at that price, if that makes sense. Now these guys, it's an interesting situation we have here. The Ultrabond is right near its low. normally I'd be looking for the 10 years to be at their low and the Ultrabond to catch up. And look at it. I mean, I mentioned earlier, it's all red. Purple's also selling. There's different shades of color based on whether it was a full order was executed or a partial order, or it wiped out the price level. Basically, reds and purples are sells, blues and, aqua are buys. Now we're starting to see a bit of activity. Now this is... Are we going to get a break low, and do we want to capitalize on it? Now, just because it comes down to the low doesn't mean it's going to break low, and you see that right there. If we just hastily jumped in, immediately 3 ticks against us. So it's far better to be patient, and sometimes you're going to miss out on trades, but at least you learn a little something, and you realize that not every single time it touches the low, it breaks low. Now, if they kind of come back here, and especially with some force, remember, these are real people. They have real feelings. They come back here with some force. Those are people saying, we are selling and we want to drive this lower. But for now, we're going to wait and see. Look at that. Ooh, just popped on up. Jigsaw is doing something a little weird, I will admit. Normally, if any price interaction happens, the color is white text, and if there's no interaction, it's black text. But there was activity down here, but for some reason, these aren't white, and I believe they were like 20 seconds ago, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with Jigsaw there. Little glitch. And again, it's just a nice visual cue. Like, I can obviously tell 611 contracts traded at this price, so this is the low, but visually it's just kind of nice, when it's white all the way down. Same thing over here. This last price isn't white. Doesn't do that often, but once in a while I notice Jigsaw gets a little off. Alright, still no trades. If you're hanging in this long, congrats. I do timestamp any actual trades I take. So if you're sitting there thinking, CFT, are you going to take a trade? I don't have all day to hang out. Look down in the video description. I will timestamp any actual trades if that's all you want to see. Myself, you might be saying, CFT, what about you as a person? We care. Been traveling a bunch. I was away for Christmas. I know it's May already, but then I was in Mexico. Then I was back for a bit. Then I did not like the weather still in Canada, so I went to Dubai for almost 2 weeks. Came back. For a month, and then went to Toronto recently for just like 5 days. Checking out some baseball, Cirque du Soleil, hanging out downtown, metropolitan life. But I'm back for the summer. My next trip is not until August. But then unleashes a whirlwind of trips. August, away for a month. Will be online. Fret not, there may still be videos and whatnot. I'm never but arm's length from my laptop when traveling. We are seeing this push down here. So, numbers wise, not seeing anything too exciting. Like, I would really love to see these guys thinning out. And you do have some holding the fort here. Now, another thing is, of course, like spoof orders. The spoof orders, you can usually, they stick out like a sore thumb, typically. Like, it'll be like double the amount. Like, if there was like a 700 or 500 order here, I'd be like, I really doubt there's 500 people looking to buy down here, or 500 contracts in demand. So there might actually be some real resistance here. But again, that's where if the sellers do decide to step up and just pop this on down, they may get their wishes. Another thing to keep in mind is just how many contracts have traded at these prices. You know, like relatively not a lot of traded here, or even more like serious over here. You know, relatively, even though this is technically the low, there was 618 contracts traded here, you know, relative to the next price. Like, they basically came down and touched this. Somebody traded there, but not a lot of activity. I'm not 100% convinced they're going to take it low this time, but I want to be ready to jump in if they do. We're going to go for it, guys, and I'll tell you why in a sec. Okay, let's pop on in and we get filled. All right. Trading 10 contracts today. Aujourd'hui. So why I jumped in is the entire time we've been talking, even though it kind of went up, we didn't jump in on that last time, it's gone up here. It's just kind of hanging out here. It's not running away, you know, it's just hanging out. So even if we can just get it popped down a little bit, you know, get a little something, you know, pay for those flights I'm talking about. So yeah, this doesn't look fantastic. So I think we each hit here, guys. Let's bail. We can take the 2-tick loss. They are having a hard time cracking this, but this is like the third or more time that they brought this back down, so I kind of want to exercise some patience. As well, keep in mind, we're watching over here, and we're seeing the negatives, and that one just traded. Now it's pushing it slow. Oh, see, I'm busy looking over here, and meanwhile over here we are making money. So we're gonna do a couple of things, maybe. I am very gingerly considering when to get out, and I would be happy with 2 ticks on this trade. I think we take it. Oh. Okay, that's there. We got one filled. We can get a little pop down. Hey, we got it. We got wiped out there, but in a good way. Nice little 3-tick winner, which was just shy of 1,000, more like just over 900. I consider that a win. Now, yes, this may well continue down, and I know one thing a lot of people deal with, and I did too, is you feel like you missed out on the opportunity. Like, if I had I should have stayed in, blah, 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 blah. You really, in my opinion, need to get away from that kind of line of thinking. Like, yes, there's always going to be a hypothetical you can make up, and it's amazing how you usually make them up when you could have made more money, but you didn't. See, yeah, we would have made a killing here, and all of a sudden there's a flurry of activity. So we might have dumb-lucked into a better trade if I hadn't gotten out there and made another 900 or wherever. I forget exactly what price we got out at, but we would have made some more money. That's okay. So I say to you, it was a good trade, and we move on. And now we look at the circumstance, we look at the layout, we look at the lay of the land here, and we decide what's our next trade. Don't just automatically chase the trade. Say, oh, it's going down, we got to jump back in, it's going to go down. If anything, I'd be a little worried that it kind of blew down. Yes, it would have been great if we could have capitalized on that. We didn't. It doesn't matter. Now, our next goal is to not be reactionary and say, okay, let's jump in here and try to get some of this, because if it doesn't continue down, we're going to give up all of our profits. So be very careful. When you make profits, guard them. The profits that you've locked in are a sure thing. You have that winner for today. If you just shut off our computer and walked away right now, that it is a good day. And as I said, if we jumped in somewhere here saying, okay, it looks like it's going to keep pushing down, we'd be kind of eating it right now. At least one take against us. I forget exactly where. Who knows? That's the thing. You can play hypothetical all you want. You could say, oh, if I had just bought back at this price, I'd be up for it. Yeah, you would have, but you didn't, and that wouldn't have been necessarily a great trade. When it's pushing the low, you don't know that it's necessarily going to run right back. So hopefully that's useful. It's about picking off great trades. Don't worry about all the what ifs. Nice day out there, nice Monday. Already been to the park. If you follow me on Instagram, I didn't post a picture today, but like going to the park, get outside. There's more to life than trading. That's right, it's 11. Already went to the park, back, and now trading. And guess what? After lunch, I probably won't go back to the park, let's be honest, but we'll get outside and do something. Another question often asked, often repeated by me: when do you trade? Do you trade the evening session? Do you look at the evening session? No. I trade the morning, usually start at 8, trade till about noon, give or take. If it was totally dead, say nothing had happened, it was just screwing around up here and like hours gone by and nothing much has happened, I'm probably just going to call it quits for the day and do something else with my time. If there's lots of activity, gonna hang out and trade. Just gonna play it by ear. Every day is not equal when it comes to trading, both in terms of activity and in terms of profits and losses. It really is. One thing I heard in my early days was, you spend the majority of your days just trying to not lose money, and it's kind of a negative way to think about it, but just basically just only take good trades and get out of them quickly if they're not working, and basically don't lose too much. If you're having a bad day, just don't lose too much. Don't dig yourself a huge hole. And then the real money is made on a few days a month, which is very true. I would say 3 to 4 days a month is when the big money is made. There's just a lot happening on a given day. That day is not today. Yes, today that's a nice winner, but there might not be any more trades today, or maybe there's one. Maybe we give up some of it, or maybe we make a bit more. But today would not be considered a huge day, but there probably will be a day at some point that is just a, one of those runaway days where you get in a trade and the timing is right and the stars align and everything else, and it just runs away and you make a boatload of money, and that's where the profits are made. So it's cutting those losers quickly, getting out fast, limiting the hole you're digging yourself when you are on the negative side. So when you do have the big days, you don't have much to make back anything that you have lost, or it is all just upside. So I don't want to have everybody sit around and do nothing watching my videos, but again, you can check out the video description if you want any timestamps if there is another trade, or we will just stop recording soon because I will run out of stuff to talk about. But yes, as for my travels, I know everyone's concerned, but no, this summer going to family for 3 weeks. Again, will be on the computer. Probably bring my desktop, honestly, then. I much prefer having the big monitor. I actually have I bought a third monitor when I was there last year and left it there. So I have a nice big curved monitor there. So I'll bring my Mac, what do they call these? M2 something. Bring my computer and trade there. And then in September, October, going to Europe, going to Scotland, England, and France. December, going to family for Christmas. And my most exciting trip that I've booked just last week. Always wanted to go to Australia. I hate the winter here. Kind of knew that was my plan for next winter. I said, screw it, I'm booking it. First class, lay flat seats, flying to Australia for a month. Mid-January to mid-February next year. And then already thinking when I come back, winter will still be in full force. I will hate it, and within 2 weeks we'll probably go somewhere else, like Mexico or the Bahamas. Do love Mexican food, and I had a blast this last year when I went to Mexico, so I might go to Mexico. Such is life. Alright guys, let's see if we can get another trade. Seeing a lot of red, Sometimes too, it's not just about seeing red or seeing blue, but the velocity at which, if it goes, 10 contracts trade, 30, blah, blah, whatever. But if it's just thousands trade very rapidly, that's when it gets a little more exciting. Now you notice something here. 2,000 contracts came down, traded. There's this changing obviously, but there's 1,500 limit orders, give or take, right now. And you see 3,000 over here. It means they're eating this up. There are buyers here willing to eat up everything that's sold and then still have more limit orders. Now it's thinning out now, quite low in fact. So I was going to say, you might get the pop down here. But hopefully that makes sense. If you're just seeing sellers, in this example, hit this, and it's not cracking, and you're just seeing a huge number over here, it means there's buyers that are just willing to absorb all those orders, and then some, because then they still have some on the limit orders. So a little bit of if you want to call it a wall, or some resistance, or support, blah, 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 all the terminology. Don't get bogged down in the terminology. I see a lot of people, they like to throw around the terminology to make themselves seem smart, and it's pretty paper thin when you realize they just like using words that they don't even necessarily understand all the time. So, alright, let's see if, it'd be real keen if we got another let's call it 2 ticks. Of course, nobody ever says, hey, no, it'd be awesome if we lost 5 ticks. You're never going to hear that. It's odd. But point of my story is it'd be really cool if we could just scalp out a tick or 2. I'd consider that a pretty good day. Not a runaway day, but it'd be a good day. Now you can with Jigsaw, and let's see, I can set it. So I don't like to always do this. You can preset, essentially what's a bracket order, ATM is what we call it in Daytrader, where you enter a trade, it automatically puts a stop loss and or a take profit. You can set it to trail, all that stuff. So, and you can set that with Jigsaw, and sometimes I do use them. So let's say I sold here, it would automatically put a take profit here, and you can then you can move it if you want to move it. I like using them sometimes, but I like using them when it's a very measured kind of ebb and flow. Seems to be a little more jumpy today. Nothing happens and then wham, it just slams down 3 ticks. So I prefer to manage that manually, if that makes sense. Then kind of so say I had a 1 tick take profit, and then it just sells and whips down 3. Be alright, I gave that up. Yeah, sure, a win, but So those have their place, they have their time. You can use them all the time. It's not the worst idea. But also, not for me today. Not for me today. It's more of a PSA that is available. So going to say, so another favorite move of mine, if you will. I don't really have a video specific about it, but if you already think, like right now it looks like we're kind of moving down. So if we're like, okay, well, we're going to be looking probably for to go short. If you can get a situation where it's like, hey, I'd rather a slightly better price, and you're patient, you should be patient. If you can get like that flip back thing, like where maybe it pops up one price level and then it pops right back down. If you can just get that slightly better price, like it's doing it right now here. So here, let's grab this. Okay. Didn't quite flip like we hoped, but what we were hoping for is, I mean, it's not looking horrible, but we got the short price. We were hoping it would pop right back down. It didn't. That's okay. It's just a little way to try and get edge, if you will. Just try to get the slightly better price. I mean, especially when it comes to this, like every tick counts for a lot. So 1 tick versus 2 ticks is double the money. You know, if you're trading some other product and you're looking for, 20 tick runs, getting 19 versus 20 isn't as big of an impact. Maybe just getting in the trade is important, but when you're only looking for 1, 2, or 3 ticks, 1 tick matters quite a bit. Okay, so we are hanging out near the low here. Ooh, I like that. I like that. These guys getting ready to bop it down. Okay, I almost like what I see. That's a good ooh. I would like this price, but I would also let's see. You're not always going to have the leisurely time to do this, but I will say with treasuries, you do have a bit more time on your hands to evaluate the situation. I'm considering getting out here, but I'm also looking at this and looking at this. I think we can get a bit more movement, and at worst, it kind of goes against us and we just try to get out for 1 tick. It's not the worst, but right now, the thing is, nothing is trading. People are adding, subtracting orders, but nothing's actually trading. You would see that in the middle column. Same thing over here. It's like everybody's kind of at a standstill. Like, who's going to move first? So it really is kind of 50-50, and that's where you can kind of go, okay, I'm going to put my order here and see if we can just get filled. Done. Perfect. So that was a 2-tick win. I love it. We're up about 1,500 for 2 trades. Being patient, having fun, talking. What did we talk about today? We talked about Jigsaw. Talked about different types of different types of brackets you can put in. I didn't really show it, but the order flow, what the different columns are, my website. Being patient, being a sniper, cherry picking trades, all that type of stuff. Waiting for the good setups. I'm gonna take that back. Not waiting for the good setups. You're waiting for the great setups. You're waiting for the A+, the premium setups. Nothing but the best. Look at this. Okay, so speaking of, we mentioned this. These are without getting way deep in the weeds. These are big block orders pushing through. So that's why you're seeing the solid background. But nonetheless, I feel I'm done for the day. It's 11:15, and we had 2 winners. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm also a little bit tired of talking, to be honest with you. It feels like it's a bit of a longer video. We started about, 10:35 or something, so I might edit out little bits of boring in between where I had nothing to say. But guys, hopefully this was useful for you, and not so much even not so much the trades themselves, hopefully all the stuff in between about being patient and reading the order flow and what to look for and why you shouldn't just, like, this would be a horrible time to just jump back in. Yes, it looks like they might keep pushing this down, but myself, after a push down, a lot of times you see a bit of a pullback. So all that said, I hope you benefit from the video. It's fun talking with you. I'll try to do more of these for sure. And I'm going to see you in the next video.